10 kids that were raised by animals. The animal kingdom will always surprise you, even more when the packs take a child in and treat them as one of them. Get ready to know about the stories of these children who lived a feral life. Number 1. Ivan Mishukov, leader of a dog pack. History is full of extraordinary tellings, and Ivan Mishukov's case is one of them. Ivan was born in Reutiv, a small village on the outskirts of Moscow. Unfortunately, he belonged to a dysfunctional family. His mother didn't care about him, and her boyfriend was alcoholic and aggressive. That's why he left home at the age of 4. He survived begging on the street, but a short while, he became friends with stray dogs that he shared the stolen food with. Ivan became the pack leader. But 2 years later, the adventure came to an end when the authorities found him. Mishukov was unable to speak, had a feral behavior, but was in good physical condition. Luckily, a few years later, he was able to integrate back into society and even became part of the Russian army.
Oh, that is so cool.
Number 2. Maria Chapman, raised by monkeys. This girl had a very sad life. First of all, at the age of 4, she was kidnapped and abandoned in the Colombian rainforest. This poor girl was starving until a family of capuchin monkeys gave her nuts and fruits. Plus, they ended up adopting her as a member of the tribe. This girl lived in the rainforest with her monkey family until she was 9 years old when some hunters rescued her, though the child was unable to speak. But her misfortune had just begun.
Why do you say that?
Because she had a worse time in civilization rather than in the Colombian rainforest, since Maria was sold to a brothel and afterward became a domestic slave, suffering abuse. But when she had the first opportunity, she ran away and started living on the streets. The good news is that after a while, she restarted her life and went to live in Bradford, UK. There, she settled down and had a daughter called Vanessa, who helped her to write her bio, The Girl with No Name. After all, Maria was finally happy. Number 3. Bello, the real Tarzan. The amazing thing about this list is that Tarzan exists.
Really?
Really?
Oh.
Awesome, right? They say this child's parents abandoned him in the Falgor rainforest as he had mental and physical disabilities. Believe it or not, it's a common thing that members of Fulani, a nomadic tribal race from Nigeria, abandon their children because of their anomalies. This child with a deformed forehead, leaning right shoulder, and protruding chest lived with monkeys for about 18 months. A group of chimpanzees adopted him so he didn't starve. 2 years later, the child was found and taken to a specialized children's home. As he didn't have a name, the nursing staff of Kano's Tudun Maliki Tori home called him Bello. Oddly enough, this child didn't speak any language and only communicated through sounds, jumped like a chimpanzee, and clapped over his head time and time again. It was astonishing to see him. Number 4. The Russian Bird Boy. Parents abandoned most of the children on this list. However, this child, although he was raised by her mother, developed feral behaviors. This happened because the woman totally ignored her child and let her birds raise him. The child's name was unknown, but he was only 7 years old and lived with her 31-year-old mother in an apartment featuring 2 rooms and full of bird cages with food and excrement. The worst thing was, this boy didn't have normal human communication. He only learned the bird's language. When the authorities found him, he communicated through screechings and flapped his arms.
Oh no, that's awful.
Horrible. Finally, the child was taken to a psychological care center and the professionals worked on his rehabilitation. This mother leaves much to be desired. Number 5. Marcos Rodriguez Pantoja, raised by wolves. After his mother's death, his father married a woman who treated little Marcos terribly. To solve things, the father gave his 7-year-old son to a landowner who then gave the child to a goat herd from Sierra Morena, so he was a helper. They lived together in a cave for a whole year until the goat herd died. The poor boy was aimlessly around the forest until one day he fell asleep next to some wolves that he played with. When he woke up, he saw a female wolf that fed him and protected him.
Oh, how cute.
they were nice to him. But when Marcos was 19 years old, the authorities found him. He was captured and had wolf behavior, howling and biting. So he was admitted to Hospital Convalescientes of Fundación Vallejo in Madrid, where he learned to speak and behave decently. Number 6. Victor de Aveyron, raised in the forest. The most famous child of all. Victor's story was portrayed in the 1969 movie The Wild Child. Victor is believed to spend his whole childhood living in the forest and being raised by animals.
How do you know that?
Thanks to the 3 hunters who found him and spread this story. When they captured the boy, he was naked and had feral behavior, scratching, biting, and emitting sounds only. He was about 8 or 9 years old. Unfortunately, a week later he ran away and came back to the mountains. Later on in winter, they captured him again since Victor hid out in an uninhabited house. During this time, he received the necessary care and was hospitalized. For some time, Jean-Marc Gaspardi Tard took care of him and educated him so he could reintegrate into society. Sadly, Victor never could speak, and he died at the age of 41 as a non-civilized person. Number 7. Devil's River Wolf Girl. The origin of this strange story dates back to the 1830s. A couple, formed by John and Molly Dent, went to live in a town called Dolores near Devil's River and the Rio Grande Union, the United States. Both were very happy, so Molly got pregnant. Sadly, she went into difficult labor, so John had to go riding to the nearest town to look for help. But the saddest part is that when John came back with help, he was hit by lightning and died instantly. To get it worse, when rescue workers got there, Molly was dead already and there was no baby. However, there were several wolf traces, so they thought the newborn had been devoured. Oddly enough, 10 years later, a feral girl was seen with a pack of wolves, and not only once, but several times. Little by little, this strange story became a legend that took place in Devil's River. Number 8. Oksana Malaya, the Ukrainian dog girl. Oksana Malaya was very unlucky to be born in a dysfunctional family formed by an alcoholic mother and a father who worked exclusively to fund his wife's vices. One night, they forgot about the child and abandoned her on the street. The helpless girl found refuge in a deserted shed occupied by stray dogs only. Over time, the girl became part of the pack, but in 1991, she was rescued thanks to a neighbor who found out the situation and alerted the authorities. The child had been with the animals for so long that she acted like one. She didn't speak, communicated through barks, and ran on 4 legs. Because of her condition, the child was hospitalized in a mental health institution. There, she learned to speak and act like a normal person. Oksana is 35 years old and lives in a mentally handicapped institution where she helps to look after the farm animals. Number 9. Sujit Kumar, Fiji Chicken Boy. This story will blow you away.
Why?
Due to its shocking telling and because it seems like a tale. Sujit Kumar was a boy from Fiji whose parents abandoned him from birth. That happened because they noticed a dysfunctional behavior in the child, so they decided to put him in a chicken coop. But that wasn't the worst part. When he was 2 years old, his mother committed suicide and his father was killed. Then he was in charge of his grandparents, who kept him in the chicken coop. Sure is. This unfortunate child spent 6 years in that place. He never learned to speak. He only clucked and pecked grains like a bird. When he turned 8, he managed to leave the place and went to the highway, where he was found running in a very particular way, shouting and acting like a chicken. He was such an aggressive boy that he spent 20 years of his life tied to a bed. But in 2002, his life changed when Elizabeth Clayton, a billionaire businesswoman, found him and took him away to educate him properly. What's next is one of the most studied cases of children raised by animals. Number 10. John Sabunya, Uganda Monkey Boy. This story took place in Uganda in the 1980s. A boy called John Sabunya was born in the bosom of a dysfunctional family. The worst thing was that his father killed his mother, so the 4-year-old child is believed to flee the forest, but it's also thought that the father abandoned him. Little John managed to survive in the forest because he was raised by a colony of green monkeys. They fed him and took care of him. In 1991, after 3 years in the forest, John was captured, though it wasn't easy at all since the boy fought back along with his monkey family. The child couldn't speak, he only cried and asked for food. Over time, the boy was adopted and learned to speak Ugandan and English, as well as to sing and play the guitar, forming part of the Pearl of Africa Children's Choir. John reintegrated into civilization, working really hard. And they say truth is stranger than fiction. Tell me, what did you find the most shocking story? If you enjoyed the video, like it, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more content. Don't go yet, there are really awesome videos. Click here or here. You won't regret it.